So today we're going to model decimals. Now remember, decimals are parts of wholes. They are not a whole. Okay, so if you have a decimal, you only have part of a whole. So the decimal that we're going to model for this, since this is broken into tenths, is 3/10. Okay. Then here we're going to model 3/100 and see what the difference is like. Then here we're going to model 3/1000. And then here we are going to model 3/10,000. Okay. Now if you asked a little kid, hey, would you rather have 3/10 of my candy bar or 3/100 of my candy bar? They would probably say, oh, 3/100 because it sounds so much more. Hundreds sound more than tenths. But really it's not, because remember, decimals are parts. So 3/10 means you broke your candy bar into 10 pieces and they get 3. 3/100 of a candy bar means you broke it into 100 pieces and they get 3. Now we know that the more you break it up, the smaller the pieces are going to be. So let's first shade 3/10. So if I were to give you 3/10, let's say this is my candy bar, I broke it into 10 pieces. So if I were to give you 3/10, I would shade 3 out of the 10. So that's how much you would get if I gave you 3/10 of this candy bar. If I were to give you 3/100 of a candy bar, well, this grid's already broken into hundreds, you would only get that much. That would be 3/100 right there. Okay. So you can see that 3/100 is actually less than 3/10. You get a lot less here than you would there. Okay. Now, if I added an extra 0 here, does that change the value? No. Now you would say it differently. It would no longer be 3/10. It would be what? 30/100. If I were to shade 30/100, I would have to shade 10, this whole strip, 20, and then 30. So then would it be the same? Yes, then it would be the same. 30/100 and 3/10 would be the same. So adding a 0 to the back does not change the value. Okay. Now, let's say that if this was my candy bar, and here I divide the tenths thinking I would share between 10 people, but then really there's 100 people I need to share with. How do I go from tenths to hundreds? How do I break this into 100 pieces? Well, if I broke each of these into what? 10 more pieces, that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So you can see that each strip here is broken into 10 more pieces. And so that's how you get 100. Now, what if I had to go from 100 to 1,000? Now this, let's see if I can zoom in. There are 1,000 little pieces here. They're going this way. Okay. So how do I go from hundreds, if my candy bar is broken into hundreds, but I really want to break it into 1,000 pieces, what would I have to do to each of these pieces to make it 1,000 pieces like this? Well, we would have to break each one of these into 10 more pieces. So this would be 10, then this would be cut into 10, that's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So then this would be 100 if I cut each of these into 10 more pieces, which is what happened here. See, they cut each square into 10 more pieces. And so now we have 100 little pieces down here, and then this would be 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. So here we have 1,000 little pieces, and that's how we would cut from going from 100 to 1,000. Okay, we cut each of these into 10 more pieces. Now to shade 3,000, that means that you only get 3 pieces out of 1,000. That's what 3,000 means. So let's see if I can do this. Let's focus a little bit here. There we go. Much better. So let's see if I can do this while I'm holding the camera. And that would be 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah. There we go. That would be 3,000s. I shaded 3 little pieces out of 1,000. Okay. So now, wow. This is 3,000s. This is 3/10,000s. So there are 10,000 little pieces in this square. How do I go from thousands to 10,000s? What do I have to do to each of these little tiny pieces to get 10,000 in my square? Well, I would have to break each of these into 10 more pieces. You can kind of see here. See, the strip is broken into 10 more pieces. So here's my little strip, and I broke it into 10 more pieces. So if I break each of these little pieces into 10 more, I would get 10,000s. So to go from 1,000 to 10,000 pieces, I would have to break each one into 10 more pieces, because 1,000 times 10 is 10,000. So that's how you would do that one. All right, well, I need to shade 3 10,000s. So I can only shade 3 little squares out of 10,000. So let's see if I can do this. Zoom in a little. There we go. And I'm just going to dot it really. There's 1, oops, 2, 3. Okay, there it is. Kind of went over a little bit, but there is 3 10,000s. So 3 10,000s would be that much out of this hole. 3,000s would be that much. 300s would be that much. And then 3 tenths would be that much. So that's decimals as smaller parts. Okay, because decimals also, they are smaller parts. You don't get a hole with